Greetings everybody, and welcome back to the Retro Entertainment Archive. And here is another video I'll be presenting concerning another film featuring classic horror. This time around I'll be talking about a film from Warner Brothers First National from 1932 called Doctor-X. Now, this film stars several familiar genre actors, if you will, one being Lionel Atwell and the other being Wray. And we'll be also discussing as well not only the film itself, but also some of the reasons why the major studios reluctantly got on the classic horror bandwagon, if you will, after the initial successes of both the two films that Universal Studios had produced and released, Dracula and Frankenstein, and Paramount Pictures with their own major success in this same year, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So with that said, please join me at the desk and we'll get into Doctor-X, and I think you'll find this an enjoyable one, and I think you'll also be pleasantly surprised by it as well. So we'll get started right away. Right, so here we are, and we're ready to discuss Doctor-X from 1932. And this is one of the pre-code horror thriller spectaculars that another studio had produced and released, and besides Universal Studios. And of course, this film stars Wray, Lionel Atwell, and also I'm just going to refer to my computer here, so just please bear with me here. It also stars Preston Foster, John Wray, Harry Beresford, Arthur Edmund Carew, George Rossiner, Layla Bennett, Robert Warwick, and Willard Robertson. Now, the screenplay was by Robert Tasker, Earl Baldwin, and George Rossiner, who also stars as the butler in the film. He went uncredited, but they gave him, I suppose as a consolation prize, they gave him a role in the film as the butler. The film, as we know it, had went through a number of revisions in the process of filming and producing the overall film that we know of. And of course, the film Doctor-X was directed by a well-known and famous director, Michael Curtiz. So yeah, Michael Curtiz was famous for directing Casablanca, as well as The Adventures of Robin Hood and other films as well. So he's a very familiar director in that regard. Now, again, in terms of classic horror, Doctor-X is certainly a landmark in terms of it being the first horror film to be filmed in the two-strip Technicolor process. There was also another film as well called The Mystery of the Wax Museum in the same year, and that also stars Lionel Atwell and Wray. And I'll be talking about that film later on the series, but at the moment we'll be sticking with Dr. X here. And of course, it also stars Lee Tracy as the reporter Lee Taylor. And basically, it also stars Preston Foster as Dr. Wells, who is also the moon killer in the plot of the story here for the film. Now, basically, as I mentioned in the intro, the other studios during 1932 were rather reluctant to get on the horror bandwagon, as it were, because a lot of the studio heads for the major studios thought that horror pictures were lowbrow. They were what they would consider not very good. They were a cheap entertainment, unlike the very classy kinds of superstar vehicles that were coming out in 1931 and into 1932. And they considered the burgeoning horror genre to be something less than what they would normally produce. So a lot of the major studios were quite reluctant, but eventually they got onto the trend, and including Warner Brothers themselves. And they had farmed out the production of the film to First National Pictures, which was a subsidiary of Warner Brothers. They eventually merged, but First National were the subsidiary company that had produced and this particular film. Anyhow, they produced some more, but for the moment, yeah, they were certainly involved in a major way with the production and the filming of it. So, but not to get into too much spoilers, but basically the synopsis of the picture is that this sadistic killer, I suppose you could say, the moon killer, is basically going around in a murderous spree, and the police are thus far in the film unaware of his true identity, and they lack clues as to tracking him down. So they turn to Lionel Atwell's character, Dr. Xavier, who is running a scientific institute. And you also, in the film, you get to see 4 of the scientists working at this institute. And they're kind of a colorful cast of characters, and this also includes Dr. Wells. And also, you get to see, throughout the course of the film, you get to see Lee Tracy's character, Lee Taylor, trying to conduct his own investigation for his newspaper, and trying to track down clues to the eventual identity of the moon killer. And all sorts of shenanigans go on in the film, and there's lots of light touches of comic relief, if you will, from Lee Tracy's character. And also he gets to know and becomes involved with Fay Wray's character. I believe her name is, excuse me a moment here, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to refer here, Joanne Xavier, who is the daughter of the Dr. Xavier, the Lionel Atwell character. And eventually, towards the end of the film, we find out who the psychotic killer is, and there's one particular scene where the antagonist is putting on his disguise, if you will. It's sort of like a synthetic flesh, if you will, and he puts it all over his head and face, and also on his missing arm, I guess. Is basically creating a new hand and arm, and he transforms himself into the Moon Killer, and it's quite an effective and quite a startling and thrilling scene where his transformation takes place, and it's quite a shocker. And also he's confronted by the Dr. Xavier character, and basically towards the end of the film there's a confrontation there where the killer eventually dies. It's the sort of happy ending that Warner Brothers and First National were looking for. And I definitely, as I've said before with other films, I definitely recommend this one, especially if you're a fan of classic horror. And of course that leads to of course, the Blu-ray here, which I highly recommend. Grab a copy of this if you can. I'll leave a link in the description where you could get yourself a copy on Amazon. And especially excuse me a moment here, I'm just going to take my glasses off here and read the special features, because this is a good amount of special features, interesting stuff here as well on the Blu-ray. This also has a separate black and white version as well, so this is pretty interesting too. And also it has a feature of the horror films of Michael Curtiz, and there's a before and after restoration reel from UCLA. And also the commentaries are well worth the purchase of this Blu-ray as well. There's two of them. There's film historian Alan K. Rode, and also from historian Scott McQueen, who is head of the preservation for the UCLA Film and Television Archive. And there's also a trailer as well for the film, so yep, please get this. It's certainly, if anything else, is a great little horror thriller, and I definitely recommend this as well. If you can get it, it's very good. I highly recommend it. Quite a lot of thrills in the film. All right. And that, I guess, is my assessment of doctorx from 1932. It has its own place, though, in the classic horror genre, and the pantheon, if you will, of the number of classic horror films from the 30s and 40s. So that is it for now, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for watching. Also, by the way, if you have seen the film in question before, please give your thoughts and opinions on it in the comments below. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. And thank you very much for watching. So until the next video, ladies and gentlemen, and classic horror fans out there, take care, and so long for now.